All right, good evening, everyone. We are going to start our meeting tonight. First thing is a roll call, and Board Member Moran is not here, but she is here via phone. So, Jessica, could you do roll call, please?
Yes. Mr. Leib?
Here.
Mr. Martinez?
Here.
Mr. Munoz?
Here.
Mr. Pereira?
Here.
Ms. Smith?
Here.
And Jessica Moran, President.
All right, so everyone is here. Thank you very much. Pledge allegiance, please stand. Ready? Salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next item is approval of the agenda. I have a motion to approve the agenda. Yes,
I'm
ma'am.
sorry, I do need to make a change that every action item is needing, this needs to be roll call since Ms. Moran's remote. I didn't add that on there.
Okay.
Roll call.
We'll do that. Thank you. All right, so approval of the agenda. Any changes,
No further changes.
suggestions? All right, so I need a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
I shall move.
Got a motion by Mr. Munoz, seconded by Mr. Martinez to approve the agenda as presented. Roll call, Tina.
Mr. Leib?
Yes.
Mr. Martinez?
Yes.
Ms. Moran?
Yes.
Mr. Munoz?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
And Mr. Pereira?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. If there is anybody here this evening that wishes to address the board on tonight's agenda item, you may come forward and address the board. You have 3 minutes, and if there are multiple speakers, there will be a maximum total of 20 minutes for public comment on tonight's agenda. Is there anybody that wishes to speak tonight? If so, please step forward. All right, seeing no one, we move on to new business. And we're ready to go. So, a few things. First of all, this meeting is being recorded, and it will be on YouTube tomorrow on the district's website, as soon as our IT department picks up the file and gets it posted. So we are being recorded, and it will be available for anybody to watch in the future. We are tonight appointing a board member for Area 6 of our district. Under the unfortunate passing of board member Mark Benton, left an opening, so we are here tonight to fill that position. The board voted a few weeks ago that we are going to fill this position by appointment rather than holding a special election. Special election would cost the district about $32,500, or at least that's what it cost us in the past, so we're assuming it's going to be that much, or could be more. So to save $32,500 and spend it on kids, we decided that it's the best thing to do an appointment. So we do have 2 candidates tonight. There were 3. One yesterday decided that he was not going to continue with the process, so we're down to just 2 candidates for appointment tonight. So we will make our choice between the 2. So the board members have candidate interview questions. And so we will be each taking a question. I'll do just kind of an opening statement and question for you when you're here. What's going to happen is for the 2 candidates, in that little bowl there is a couple of pieces of paper. That's your 1 and 2, so you can pick, whoever wants to go put their hand in that thing first in a minute, I'll let you know, and then that will be the first candidate to go. The second candidate will go later. Second candidate, actually both candidates, when you're not being interviewed, they're going to take you to a waiting room off in the other side of the district office while we're interviewing that candidate. If you want to know what their questions and answers were, you can look tomorrow on YouTube. But we will choose, or you will choose which one of you goes first. All the board members have 2 pages of questions, or 2 packs of questions. They're 2 pages long. There are 10 questions. You'll have 20 minutes. So then there's a timer right here that will be, I'll set it right now to 20 minutes because it was set for 3 for public comment. So I'll set it for 20 minutes, and so you can see where you are as far as time-wise in your 20 minutes. So if you take 8 minutes to answer all 10 questions, that's fine. If it takes 20 minutes to answer all 8 questions or 10 questions, that's fine. It's however you feel that you've answered the question. Board members, I'll do kind of an opening thing, have you do thing, and then we'll start. Marlene, you'll do question number 1, and then Jean, you'll do 2, Ray 3, Jean 4.
You said Gene too.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, did I say Gary? I'm sorry, Gary. And then Jessica will be 5, I'll be 6, Marlene 7, Gary 8, Ray 9, Jean 10, and then I'll do a final question, just general comment at the end, and then we'll switch candidates, and then when both candidates have gone through the questionnaire, we have both come back when we have our discussion. Board members, we have a rating sheet in front of you, and this is a rating sheet that's used for all interviews in the district for teachers and custodians and secretaries and administrators, it's just a simple rating sheet. First candidate comes up, there already has number 1 filled in. That's your first, obviously that would be your first choice for that person. And then the second candidate is interviewed, and then in the next box, which is under column B, you will either, that's where your choice is, who your number 1 candidate of the 2 would be. So that would be number 1. So if number 2 or number 1 remains as the first candidate, you put a number 1 in the first box under column B, and then number 2 would be number 2. Or if number 2 candidate was your choice of the 2 candidates, that would be number 1, and you would put a number 2 in the number 1 line. Is that confusing? Kind of, okay. If you look at the sheet, you don't have to do anything for the first candidate, all right? So the first candidate's already done.
Right.
It's the second candidate who interviews. If you feel that second candidate answered your questions better and you feel that they are the candidate you feel would be the best person for the position, then you would put a number 1 in the number 2 spot, and then a number 2 in the number 1 spot under B. And then that's your final choice. So however you feel is the number 1 person, that should be in the letter B column. You got it? Everybody got it? After we're done, these will be collected by Tina, and she's going to take them to, we have a couple of staff members in the back. She'll drop them off with them. They will tally them up and then give the tally to Tina, and then Tina will post it on the whiteboard over there. And then that will begin our discussion. Just because someone is number 1 doesn't mean that's an automatic choice. Basically what this does, it kind of gives the board a feeling of where the board is between the 2 candidates. So, whoever has the lower number, obviously the lower number, if you have a 6, that's a that means everybody thought that that person was number 1. But it could be anywhere. So no decision is made until we have a motion and a second and we vote on it. So just because that person is number 1 doesn't mean they're automatically in. So that's how we're going to do this process. Everybody has the same pen, so please use the pen that was in front of you to mark this sheet. These are confidential to, personally, all you need to do is write the name of the candidate on here, if you, and then you do not put your name on the sheet. So it all goes to the people in the back doing the tallies, and they're not gonna know who voted how, which way, so. Have I made myself understood? Is everybody happy? Are we ready to start the process? All right,
Yes.
all right, Jessica says yes.
I got a question.
Yes, yes, sir.
We're gonna go on down the line, right?
So Dr. Matuk's gonna be.
No, 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 it's not for
Just-
questions. This is at, when we're all done, that's when you fill this out. It's not per question. So
Okay.
we don't touch this sheet until we finish with candidate number 1. Actually, we don't touch the sheet until we're finished with candidate number 2.
Right.
So this thing is just here on the side. When we're done with candidate number 2, then we put our ranking there.
Am I
And then
bringing both of them out right now, or do we gonna keep the first candidate in here for now?
we're keeping the first candidate here right now. So who's,
Dr. Matuk's gonna be.
Matuk is first, okay. All right, come up and take the chair in the front there. Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome,
Hi,
thank you.
Thank you all for having me, taking the time to spend with me today. I'm Dr. Sarah Matuk, podiatric physician and surgeon in Los Banos.
So, and that was my opening. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I have my 4 angels, my babies, 3 girls and a boy. Their ages 1, 3, 5, and 8. They go to schools in this district. We came here about 4 years ago from Chicago, so grew up in the Chicago public school system. Very passionate about teaching, about learning. Ask anyone that works with me, I'm constantly teaching. My passion is kids. My passion is definitely kids. I adopted maybe 2 or 3 kids in our neighborhood, though, always at our house. So, yeah, anything with kids, I'm in it.
All right. Okay, so your 20 minutes is going to start now, and Ms. Marlene, you have, oh, wait a minute, something happened here. User error.
No
Okay, here we go. All right.
Okay, Sarah, I'm sorry, Dr. Matuk.
Sarah's fine.
Please summarize the strengths you will bring as a board member to the board.
Strength is my diversity. So again, I grew up in the Chicago public school system. Similar demographics as this area. Strengths, I have my medical education, so I do understand the needs of this community, not just with academics, with health. So for students to succeed, I believe you need wellness of mind, body, soul, right? If you're not healthy with your mind, with your emotions, I don't think you can succeed academically. I do think there are disadvantages to this area. Just resources. I know how to get kids resources. I know hotlines. I have all this knowledge that I would love to share, and I do share with students and parents. I treat parents, so it's not just the students, it's the parents. A lot of times people ask if I'm a psychologist during our appointments. We just speak, and I have patients crying and just so much abuse, and I do help for them to reach out to the help they need. So, because their strengths, my diversity.
Okay. Matuk, right?
That's you, or Sarah. Sarah's fine.
Sarah.
Thank you.
Okay, what qualities and behaviors should a board member exhibit?
Unbiased. I think they should have unbiased, no, excuse me. So if you can repeat the question, sir, I'm
Yes.
sorry.
What qualities and behaviors should board members exhibit?
All right, one of integrity, high honor, be able to keep confidentiality. So that's a big one too. As a board member, you have a role in the community. All eyes are on you, so you should always know how to behave yourself. Right? How everyone's looking at you, you should be a role model. So that's a big quality, is to be a role model at all times. Another qualities is love, compassion. I feel like a board member has a duty to care, a duty for loyalty, to uphold the morals and values of the community.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Okay. My turn. In what school, community activities, or organizations have you been involved?
So I often go to the board, not board meetings, the parent club meetings at the school at Charleston, where my son goes, and then OLF, the Fatima, the private school in town. I am head of the, for sponsorships procurement for the OLF. It's their biggest fundraiser, so I'm in charge as of this year to get sponsorships from different businesses in town. I volunteer every field trip, volunteer in the classroom since kindergarten. My son was in kindergarten and preschool, so volunteering at every opportunity, which is not easy to fit into my schedule, but I am passionate about. The shelters in class, I'll take a group of kids to the animal shelters. So different activities. I do like extracurriculars. There's jiu-jitsu. I'm very involved in jiu-jitsu in the schools. It's a club, but a lot of schools go there afterwards. So,
Great, thank you.
thank you.
Hi, Sarah.
Hi.
What will you do to become more effective as a board member?
Number one is educate myself on what the community needs. So if the community needs an advocate for foreign languages, for instance, a lot of parents have voiced that they wish they were foreign languages. That's something, just to different concerns. But to verse myself in the concerns of the community, to listen to families, to parents, teachers. Other things is further educate myself through committee meetings, through research. I'm sure there's different conferences that I would be involved in. I would further my interest through the conferences, further my education through the conferences, learn from fellow board members. I think board members are going to be my number one resource to learn from. So you guys are going to be my biggest resource.
Number 5.
Yes, Sarah.
Describe what you feel is an effective governance team.
Describe what you feel is an effective governance team.
Effective. So when we're a team. So number one starts with the students, with the parents, with the teachers. It goes to the superintendent, then goes to us to help to just make sure all rules and regulations are being upheld. So number one is just be a team player, do our part for the community and for each other.
Thank you.
So, thank you. And we are role models in the community, so we have to uphold our values and our behavior as such.
Make a note, sorry. All right. If your personal views, values, and/or beliefs were to come into conflict with a decision of the board, what would you do?
I would listen to the opposing arguments, the reasons. There's always two sides to a story. I'm very open-minded. Nothing is black and white. And I am an empathetic person, also just diversity. I can see many sides. So there's always constructive arguments, but I'm also a good listener. So you'd have to hear both sides, the background information. So I'm not one to argue or raise a fuss. I do listen. If there's discussion, that's what will happen, is discussion. Communication is probably the biggest thing of any group, is going to be good communication and respect for everyone.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
All right.
Based on your research, what do you see as the greatest challenge facing Los Angeles Unified School District?
Based on research,
Yes.
I think it's going to be the socioeconomic disadvantages that we have. We're a community with not great resources in terms of healthcare, in terms of extracurriculars. So that would be the biggest thing. There's so many emotional needs in this community, and there's not many resources, not in town. There's transportation issues to get the help. Parents can't get their kids out of here for speech therapy, for just tutors. So I think that's a big issue in our community. Thank you. You're welcome.
Okay, Lloyd? Can you place the district's purposes and interests above your own professional and personal interests when making decision as a board member? Please give your rationale for your answer.
Yes, I could, because I could take myself out of the equation and look at the bigger picture. So it's not only me, as a surgeon, I'm in charge of the operating room. So if there's a conflict for anything, that I have to put the patient above everything. So same thing with this, the children go above everything. So if the child's best interest is what my main concern is gonna be.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, my turn. Describe your response if a parent cornered you in a grocery store and asked for your support on a particularly hot issue.
What would my response be? So usually if I have my kids, they're screaming, and that's my excuse out, because it happens a lot. Patients will come and approach me. So if that happened with a parent and they asked for my support, I would say, we have to bring it up to the board. I'm not at liberty to take bribes, which is pretty much what they're asking for. So it would be just a biased, unethical thing to ask of me. And I would politely tell them, so, yeah, very respectfully. I'll make sure I grab one of the babies. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Sarah, I have a last question. Can you or should you support a board decision that you were not in favor of? Please give your rationale for your answer.
If I'm not in favor of it, but I see the benefit, again, it's to the students. So can I have an example of or is it any,
No.
just?
Yeah,
Okay.
just that question, yeah.
Yeah. If it was for the betterment, and I would hear every side, I am open-minded and I like to listen to all sides. Whether I agree personally or not, I put it on the back burner. Again, if it's for the betterment of the community. I'm one person in a whole, so the whole outweighs the individual, is what I think.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank you.
you made it through the 10.
I know,
Good.
I'll still try.
So, do you have any questions for us?
How long have you guys, is a board member typically on?
Well, election, if you're elected, it's a 4-year term.
For your term,
Mhm.
okay.
In this case, you would be completing Mark's term, which is just a month over 2 years. So the end of the term would be 2024.
Okay. And then do people reapply, re-elect?
Then you
Go-
run for reelection.
Re-election.
Mhm.
And have you guys, so what, do people go for many terms, or what is the?
There's no limit.
There's no limit.
Okay.
Yeah, Marlene and I are actually just beginning in December, we'll be beginning our 3rd term.
Consecutive term.
Yeah, we both served 8 years already, we'll be starting our 9th year. And so we just, then Jean was just reelected for 4 years, and Ray has been here for what, 6? And Gary's been here for
6.
6, so.
Do you see any big changes coming to the?
And Jessica's been here for, how long, Jessica? 1 month, 1 year?
This is barely my first term. This is
Yeah.
my second.
Yeah.
Thank you.
She's,
Any changes that you see, big changes coming to the board, to the district, in terms of regulations or?
well, there's always regulation changes every year. I mean, the state's coming down with, states come down with, the state gives us new rules every year about something. So, yeah, there's always something coming down. So,
How difficult is it to implement new regulations? Do you get a lot of fight from the community, or is everyone, so what's the communication?
you know what, a good example would be, we just had to change the bell schedule. And there was a state law that mandates that, secondary schools, high schools can't start before 8:30, middle schools, junior highs can't start before 8. That was very well accepted by the community. We really didn't have much pushback because they know that we had no choice. We had to do it. Then we had the mask mandate. And we had a lot of pushback from that. But it was a mandate from the state. It was a law that we had to implement, and we had no choice. So there was, a lot of parents were very upset about that. They came to board meetings and shared their concerns. But in the long run, we had to follow what the state says we had to follow. So yes and no. So there's some things we hear nothing about, and there's some things we hear a lot of things about. So it all depends on the issue.
Rightfully so.
You never know. All right.
Thank you all for your time and
Thank
for your
you.
consideration.
Thank you.
So if it's the same order.
Same thing.
I don't mind, I have a few notes, so.
All right, Lori,
Yes.
tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm a native of Las Vegas. I've lived here all my life. I've been to the public schools here, of course. My family pretty much all lives here. I'm an educator. I've got a master's in education, 20 years in education, now newly retired, with lots of time on my hands. So I'm ready to dive in and really give back to the community at this point in time. Personally, I'm an independent thinker. I really am strong in decision-making. I've got a lot of experience as it relates to education, and I'm sure some of the questions you'll ask will hopefully touch on that, but that's me in kind of a nutshell. Are you gonna start the timer? Is that timer for me?
The timer's for you, but we'll
I
start
didn't
it when
see
you
it.
get your first question.
Oh,
That-
okay.
Yeah, that was just sort of an opening statement, and
Okay.
you got some time going. But thanks for being so observant. Jessica, can you hear? Jessica? Oh, okay. I guess so. All right, so,
Sorry, I was talking as I was muted. I can hear faintly, but I can make it out.
okay, cool, thank you. So Lori, just talk a little louder,
Okay,
because we have someone
okay.
far away. All right, we will start.
Okay, is it Lori?
Yes.
Okay. Lori, please summarize the strengths you bring as a board member to the board.
Well, again, I have technical strengths that relate to every aspect of a school. I've been a principal at 2 different locations, a teacher, principal. I've worked on budgets, created a budget from scratch with Merced Scholars Charter School when I was the principal there. I've been on negotiating teams, both sides of negotiating teams. I've worked on curriculum, writing curriculum, A to G courses. Where I worked at Merced County Office of Ed, they had no A to G courses prior to me. And after I've got all of the A to G courses approved that they have currently, plus they have some new ones since I've left. Let's see, some of the other things that I might have done technically wise. Those are probably, I've got a lot of different technical things as it relates to education. But personally wise, my personal traits, as I mentioned before, I'm pretty much an independent thinker. I like getting the facts first before I make my decisions. I am a very sequential thinker, so
everything's kind of like a puzzle in my head. I need all the pieces first to make an educated and sound decision. And I think that ties into exactly what the board does. You all have to make sound decisions. Let's see. I think that's probably, besides budgets and things like that. It's pretty much what I do.
Restraints?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mr. Neal?
Okay. What qualities and behaviors should a board member exhibit?
Oh, that's a good question, because it's, you know, we're representing the community, and we're out in the community, so it's got to be professional, you have to be politically correct, you need to be open, have good communication, listen. I would treat this like I treated my school. My door would always be open. It was always open to parents, students, and staff. It's the same thing I would bring to the board. And it's got to be somebody that can disagree when needed, because I am an independent thinker, but also be collaborative and compromise when necessary as well.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. In what school community activities or organizations have you been involved?
Well, with my school that I was at the charter school, well, I can step back just a minute. I did teach ROP, so I taught it for Los Banos High, even though I wasn't on your campus here at Los Banos High. So that was one of the things that, one relationship that I had. Another relationship or activity would be as a principal of Valley Community School. As you know, your job is to approve expulsions. And so when one of your students is expelled, I get that student. So I had to work very closely with, I don't want to say trading, but back and forth with students. So I worked with counselors at all the schools, mainly the high schools and San Luis High. Sometimes we would get a middle school student or elementary, not very often. So I had close working relationships with all of the schools, special ed department. If we got a student that might need, you know, speech pathology or something like that, and if we couldn't make that happen, the school district would help us, so I would appreciate that they helped. But one thing that I am proud of as it relates to that is that as the 5 years I was a principal at Valley Community School, I had 100% of the students that were expelled met their goals. And I know you know the goals that are in their expulsion packages. They met their goals to return back to school. Not all of them wanted to return back, but I would work very closely with them to ensure that they could come back to their regular public school. And I've been a room mother. I mean, I've helped in classrooms, things like that, so.
Wait. What will you do to become more effective as a board member?
Well, there's a lot of learning a learning curve that I'm gonna have, definitely, and I have no qualms about digging in, spending the time needed, researching. I've always been a hard worker, and I've always attacked everything with as much gusto as possible. For example, when I was the principal of Merced Scholars, I was brought into my boss's office and said, "You are the principal now, and you will be our expert at the county office for charter schools." And I knew nothing about charter schools, nothing. But I researched, I did what I needed to do to become that expert. And that's how I will treat this job, same way. I'm going to dive in and do what I need to do to make sure that learning curve starts getting a little smaller.
Number 5, describe what you feel is an effective governance team.
I missed the first part of that question.
Describe what you feel is an effective governance team.
Well, to have an effective governance team, you have to have good communication and collaboration. There's just, that to me is the top two things. But you also have to have a mutual respect for each other. You have to be able to agree to disagree in a respectful manner. If we all agreed on exactly the same thing, I don't think it would be an effective governance team. You have to have some type of diversity in what you're working towards. Because if those questions aren't asked, then somebody might miss something. Does that make sense? So to me, communication, collaboration, mutual respect, and of course, some assistance from Dr. Marshall in guiding as the advisor to the board.
Okay, if your personal views, values, and/or beliefs were to come into conflict with the decision of the board, what would you do?
I would probably abstain from voting if it was something that was, I mean, if it was, well, can you repeat that?
Sure.
My personal beliefs?
Yes.
Well,
If your personal views, values, or beliefs were to come into conflict with a decision of the board, what would you do?
okay.
Not,
I think, right, I think I'm an intelligent enough person to understand that my bias has to stay out of those decisions. I firmly believe that personal issues and beliefs in that respect have to stay out of it. I was thinking it was something else that, you know, so that's, to me, you know, that has to be very neutral, very unbiased, have to listen to the facts, and with the facts and the research comes to the conclusion, that's how I'm gonna go.
all right,
Okay.
that's good.
Based on your research, what do you see as the greatest challenge facing Los Banos Unified School District?
You know, I've gone through your website, I've looked at your data quest and your dashboard and, you know, reviewed and analyzed some of the data. Right now, truthfully, right at this point in time, one of the biggest challenges is trying to get kids back where they were before the pandemic. That, to me, is kind of a difficult thing at this point in time. I'm gonna tell you that teachers did an excellent job during the pandemic. I sat with my granddaughter every day in her classroom in my house and watched the creativity and just the outstanding teaching that was going on. But trying to get kids back where they were before the pandemic is gonna be a challenge. I'm sure there's lots more challenges, and I'm sure there's things, of course, that I'm going to learn as I go, if chosen on the board. But right now, I think that's one of the biggest challenges, trying to get kids back where they were before.
Thank you.
Okay. Can you place the district's purposes and interests above your own professional and personal interests when making decisions as a board member? Please give your rationale or your answer.
So,
Would you like me to read again?
yeah, because it sounded like a yes or no question,
Yeah.
and I don't want to just say yes, or.
Okay, can you place the district's purposes and interests above your own professional and personal interests when making decisions as a board member? Please give your rationale for your answer.
Yes, absolutely. You know, being a principal, sometimes when you're meeting with a parent or a student, you might have a little bit of, oh, Lord, help me kind of, you know, minute. But I've always been professional and put, you know, my ideas of parenting maybe, or whatever the case may be. Because remember, I was at an alternative ed school where kids, you know, kids were doing a lot of things that they shouldn't be doing. But you have to just move forward, you have to be positive, you have to keep on with what's best for students in the community in this respect.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, describe your response if a parent cornered you in the grocery store and asked for your support on a particularly hot issue.
So again, I'm one of those type people that I have to have all the facts. So I'm gonna listen, I'm gonna take what they tell me, and then I'm going to research it, come back, ask you know, maybe it's something that I go to Dr. Dr. Marshall about, because you just can't give somebody an answer on a whim. I'm one of those type people that, you know, if, one of my staff members came to me and said something, you know, this is what's going on. And then you find out, wait a minute, there's other little pieces that I haven't heard to be able to make that decision, you know, a sound decision. So that would be the same thing in my mind. I'm gonna hear that one view, one opinion. You cannot make a sound decision in that instance.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Go ahead, last question.
Okay.
Can you or should you support a board decision that you were not in favor of? Please give your rationale for your answer.
So if it's something that I am not in favor of, I'm going to say that I'm a person that has my own opinion, and I am, again, an independent thinker. So if I have reviewed all the facts, if I have gotten all those pieces that I mentioned before, and it is not a decision that I want to move forward with, then I would not. I don't think we all have to agree all the time.
Sorry.
You made it.
I did it quickly, though.
That's okay. That's okay. So, thank you for taking the time to do this. Do you have any questions for us?
No, just that, just more of a statement that I really would love the opportunity to be on the board. I do have the time, being retired, I have the time, the devotion, and the motivation to just attack this position and do everything I would need to do to catch up to where your fellow member that you had, you know, I hope I could step into her shoes. And so, and thank you to all of you.
Well,
All right, so board members,
Am I gonna go ahead and have Lauren sit out there until?
you can, no,
Or should I just get Sarah
you
back?
can bring her in, yeah.
Okay.
So I took lots of notes on both these candidates, so I'm gonna, before I fill out my rating sheet, I'm gonna go through and kind of compare and everything else. So take the time, don't feel that you're rushed to do that part. And so it's a really great answer, so compare side to side here. And I should explain that Board Member Moran is going to do her rating sheet and then email it to Tina, who's Dr. Marshall's assistant, and she will print that out and give it to the people who are going to be doing the tallying. So she will be submitting hers also as before we do ours.
Correct.
So when you're ready with your rating sheet, just fold it in half once like this. And when everybody has theirs done, then Tina will come around and collect them.
And also too, with your applications at the end of the meeting, I'm gonna collect them all so I can shred them.
Excuse me, Tina, did you say you're gonna be collecting the applications?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna take the applications and shred them after the meeting.
Okay, after we're done?
Yeah, after we're done. After we're done, at the end of the meeting, I'm gonna collect the applications so I can get them shredded.
Okay. Will we continue to be able to have them during
Oh
the
yeah,
whole process?
until the meeting's over. When the meeting's over, I'll talk to her.
Okay, thank you.
And everybody out there, just talk amongst yourself. We've got a few minutes before this is done, so don't feel that you just have to sit there and, enjoy your conversation there.
Good, I think we had someone else, great, that was amazing, It's supposed to rain today, it's supposed to rain today, it's not gonna rain till now this afternoon. It's not raining, right, it should rain, guys, then it's like. Really? It's supposed to rain today, so there's a chance, it's sunny outside, it's raining.
Oh, yeah, there's that.
Right, it always happens, I mean, we made it, our kid is.
And I've already received the other ones, they're in the inbox.
So, and then like at 1:30, it just starts pouring down. So we were blessed. It poured, I'm like, and I mean, how parent teacher conferences, so parents are coming in wet, and it's freezing cold in my classroom, and I'm like, they're like, oh, I'm sorry, I have a work order in, I don't know, so the air is on and not the heat, and it's like 68 degrees.
So, Jean and Marlene and Gary.
They said, we're not having control over
They're
there.
gonna set the meetings over. We have to pick our choice of our entree for the choice of entree. Dinner that we're having at
You owe me $20.
Are we on? Are we on?
You owe me $20.
I'm gonna pay him off.
You're gonna pay a lot. So you got it on camera.
On camera here, pay him $20. Gary, here's your $20. I'm paid.
And Jessica owes me $20.
Yeah, Gary.
I didn't really watch it.
I mean, I took my car and paid her off.
Now, I went for lawyers.
Who's on next one now?
I have a son.
Thursday.
So I'm like, come on, you know, my son loves it. But I remember, my son was scared, he was lawyers.
You gotta go White Rock.
This is tomorrow, I guess.
Yeah.
I know.
Mine too. Yeah, I don't know what that's on that.
1 billion.
Everybody's buying them. They already have.
That's why she's still here.
I'm afraid.
He's like,
Like 30 years, you know.
Well, you know,
When I looked at that, they youngsters, only like 18 years old. So I remember designer training. I gave all my extra development materials, and he went back because he was more advanced. And he went back and read like that. You're doing schedule. And he became trained, started first they didn't know how to do how to accept the trail. Pretty soon everybody fell in line. He's done really good. Anyway, he's still there. But she
Everybody back to order or what?
yes. All right, we have, the first start of this process, which is the rankings or the ratings.
Forgive my writing on a whiteboard, I'm not sure I'm not good at this.
So for those of you on YouTube, the rankings came out a tie, 9 and 9.
Just has their totals on there.
Totals are the 9 and 9.
And it
So
was triple checked, they went over them over and over, once in front of me, just to make sure that their numbers added up.
yeah, okay, all right. So next move here is to start the discussion, or make a motion, or
Go to another
do
vote?
something.
I'll do another vote?
Well,
I say we have discussion.
yeah, there's
Discussion?
another vote probably wouldn't change anything.
It's not rushed.
So, yeah, so we can, I mean, we've done the vote, so now it's, like I said, discussion, make a motion.
I make a motion on discussion.
Well, I mean, the motion would be to,
Yeah.
the motion would be for one or the other, or we can just have a discussion, or
Yeah.
whatever you want to do here.
I think we need to discuss.
So,
We've got a time here.
it's open here. Jessica, you are following, right? And please jump in when necessary. Or whenever you want.
Okay.
Anybody?
I feel that we've got two great candidates to start out.
Yeah.
As you could see. I think, you know, there's always a better fit in the group, and so, I feel real strong that, with Ms. Gattuso's, experience already in the education field, that there's an edge there, as far as I'm concerned, that, you know, can't be overlooked, and, to me, she would be a better fit, is the way I see it, because of her experience. So.
Anybody else? I can, this is a hard decision. I mean, the guys were great. And I kind of agree with you that the knowledge base from Ms. Gattuso really kind of is an advantage, but not more so than the other. But I mean, that does kind of help coming in and having a knowledge base of what the terminology is, what, I mean, it's, the learning curve is steep, as anybody knows who first comes on here. And, you know, I think, I tend to agree that Laura would be excellent, but Sarah would be wonderful too. I mean, this is not an easy decision, as we all can find out, so. So, I love you both. So.
Two great people.
You know,
I'd like to hear from everybody, go ahead.
yeah, with both candidates, you know, I have to agree, they're both great. They're both great, you know, they're both willing to give their all to be a board member and help out in the community and serve our kids. Yeah, and it's tough, it's a really tough situation here. But, they're both great, You know, I mean, wow, I don't know what to say, it's 9/9. I was surprised to see that myself. Yeah, so, you know, you got the learning edge you mentioned, okay, with Lori, okay? And then again, over here you have Sarah, okay, is willing to show her integrity and working, you know, with the community and the board as far as being effective. So it can go either way, you know, I mean, it's tough. But I see both of you with, you know, great values for the board.
Appreciate that. Can we ask a question again? Can maybe ask any questions? For 30 maybe? Probably
No.
not. Okay.
We're done with the questions. Marlene, Jessica, or any comment?
Jessica.
No, same, it was a hard decision. Even though I'm not physically there, as you can tell from my voice, I'm a little bit under the weather, and definitely don't want to spread germs around, but it was a really hard decision. On one side, we have some of that expertise, but on the other side, we also have the passion, willingness to step out, and obviously it's very evident from, you know, tied position on there. I really love also that, you know, there was a little mention of some of the hardships coming back post-COVID, and, you know, really focusing on mental health and whatnot, which I appreciated from Sarah, and then from me, just an experience being at Valley, being at different places where we want to be able to provide services for students that are going to keep them, you know, in our district and whatnot. So it was a hard one.
And for me, I scored my every answer, and it's an even split. It's really hard.
Yeah, we found that out.
Yeah. So, I like the experience that Lori has. I like the newness that Sarah has. They both could bring something very nice to the board.
That's pretty much where I'm at between Jessica and
Lori.
and Marlene. Those, I mean, it's tough because they both have great ideas and knowledge, both from education and from the health side. And so it's like, okay, which one when it comes to our students, right? We need both, so.
Can we add an 8th board member?
I wish there wasn't. I mean, it's like, okay, just flip a coin, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
No, please don't do
You guys, okay, you guys did not make this easy, okay, so, thank you for that, because I don't think we've ever had anything that was, you know, 2 candidates that were so close and so tight. Okay, well, you know what, I'll just start this off and then we'll take it from there. I'll make a motion that we appoint Lori Gattuso to the board.
I second that.
We have a motion to second. Any further discussion? None? Roll call, Tina?
Mr. Lee?
Aye.
Mr. Martinez?
Yes.
Ms. Moran?
Yes.
Mr. Munoz?
No.
Mr. Pereira?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Four ayes, or no, 5 ayes and 1.
5 ayes and 1 no. Okay. The motion passed, and Ms. Gattuso is our new board member. And Dr. Matuk, oh my gosh. Please don't go away. I mean,
Stand up and get sworn in.
it was, Lori, congratulations, but,
Thank you guys for your time. I appreciate the experience.
oh, and we appreciate you being here and your honesty and your great answers, and you were wonderful.
Thank you. It was a
Thank you.
good experience.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, swearing in.
Yes, please raise your right hand. Got it? Okay, I
I, Lori Gattuso,
do solemnly affirm
do solemnly affirm
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
foreign and domestic,
foreign and domestic,
and that I will bear true
and I will bear true
faith and allegiance
faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely,
that I take this obligation freely
without mental reservation
without mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully, I will well and faithfully
that I will and faithfully
discharge the duties upon
discharge the duties upon
which I'm about to enter.
which I'm about to enter.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Here you go.
All right. Again, thank you all for coming. Thank you, Dr. Matuk. Appreciate it. Congratulations, and this meeting is adjourned at 7:09.
Bye, Jessica.
Bye, Jessica, thank you.
Bye, Jessica.
Get well fast. Bye-bye now.
She read these, right? Everything?
Good, because we come back to teach me every time I read.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
That was not easy. That was terrible. That was horrible.
Thank you.
The local education is just, you know,
Yeah, but I mean, wow.
You're willing to educate something very
They do.